give you the option.
Welcome, everybody. This is the Pre-Snap Live. I'm your host, James, and with me I got Chris. Chris, how's it going, buddy?
I'm good, man. Happy football to everyone. It's finally here, Football Sunday. I can't wait to hear Chris Hansen tell me that I have 7 hours of commercial-free football to sit down and finally watch, buddy. How are you doing?
I'm excited, dude. It's been so long. I've been waiting for this day. I'm off my downer from Thursday night, and I'm back up excited for all of my teams to see what's going on. So
right on,
it should be a fun day. We got lots of content coming to you today. For those just joining us, this is our first episode of the Pre-Snap. We are going to be coming to you every Sunday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern, and we're going to be sitting down with you, going through all your questions that you have. We're going to be talking some DFS. We're going to be talking the football games that are happening today. We're going to be talking injuries, anything football today. That's what we're doing. We're here for about an hour with you guys, and we're here to help you guys win a championship. So, Chris, are you ready for today? Any big games you're looking forward to, or what?
Yeah, Pittsburgh-Buffalo is a good one. I think I'm expecting a shootout in that game. And, of course, New Orleans versus Green Bay, my boys in the black and gold, the new era of Jameis Winston. I'm excited, but also a little bit scared at the same time, buddy. What about you? Any big games you're looking forward to?
Yeah, I mean, those games especially. I got a lot of players in those games there. So I did take the Packers to cover the 4.5. So sorry, Chris, on that one. But
boo this man.
Yeah, there's a lot to look forward to. We got the Jets versus the Panthers. You got Darnold going back against his old team, and I'm Robbie Anderson. It's going to just be a fun-filled day. They set it up beautifully for everything to happen. Miami versus New England should be a good tilt this week as well. So,
the rookie QB starting, Wilson, Lawrence. There's another Mac Jones who took the job over in New England. So I'm excited to see how all these guys perform in their first go-around.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's going to be great. So with that, we did have an announcement to make. We are going to be announcing the winner of the U Stadium Fantasy Fee giveaway. And so this was a sort of a contest that was put on U Stadium, I believe, a week or two ago. And you could submit your team, and U Stadium promised that they would pay for your season fee. So
up to $150 though. So
yes, that's right. Sorry.
Yeah, because some of these league fees can get a bit crazy, man.
I think I saw someone post that their fee was $9,000. So I thought that was interesting. But Chris, want to announce the winner?
Yeah, we got U Stadium login ID, Bam Bam. So Bam Bam, if you're listening to this, congratulations. This starting lineup right here of Josh Allen, Antonio Gibson, James Robinson, Devontae Adams, DK Metcalf, TJ Hawkinson, Keenan Allen, Ravens DST, and Harrison Butker. It looks like it's going to be a steady lineup from here until week 17. So congratulations to you, Bam Bam. Good luck the rest of the way.
Yeah, I assume somebody from your stadium will reach out to you and get in touch with you and figure out how we can get that to you. But for all of you that are here and listening to us, if you love our content, we are accepting super chats and super stickers. So you can definitely share some love with us. And make sure that you like the stream and subscribe to the channel, because the more you do that, the more content that we can produce for you guys. So Chris, do you want to get into some of our start sits of the week?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's dive right in. We both got 5 starts and 5 sits each that we're going to give to you guys. So hopefully this helps you with some of your questions. If you have any questions throughout the broadcast here, drop them in the super chat, drop them in the live chat, drop them in the U Stadium app, and we'll get to as much of them as we can.
Sounds good. All right, let's set up our first start. I believe we're going to be doing it's a quarterback battle. Well, not battle, but a quarterbacks that we're talking about. We're going to do I'm starting Jimmy Garoppolo, and you're starting Trevor Lawrence.
Yes, sir. T-La.
That's right. So on the Jimmy Garoppolo side, why am I starting him? He's playing one of the worst defenses in the league. They ranked near the bottom as a whole on almost all defensive counts last year. PFF had them as the number 24 out of 32 NFL teams last year. the Detroit's defensive line unit finished ranked 30th in 2020. The weapons that Jimmy G is going to be able to have out there, he's got Ayuk, he's got Samuel, he's got George Kittle. I mean, these guys should go off today as well and just have some big games for them because of how bad the defense is. He is in the QB2 category this week, so I'm not saying he's a full-on QB1, but he will have a good game. And the reason for that is because once they do go up, which we're assuming they're going to go up, they're probably going to stick to the run game a little bit more, and he'll probably lose a little bit of that QB1 ceiling because he won't need to throw the ball.
Hopefully he protects those kneecaps.
Well, I've been hearing the words coming out of players' mouths and coaches are that Jimmy G is confident, focused, and fury and ready to go for this season. So I'm excited to see what he can do.
Right on. Yeah, it's a good start. I'm starting Trevor Lawrence this week against the Houston Texans. Who doesn't want their rookie franchise QB to face a team that is selling off assets? The Texans just sold off their starting corner in Bradley Roby, who wasn't playing week 1, but the aura alone, the locker room morale has got to be at an all-time low. Texans in 2020 were 11th for fantasy points per game versus the QB, allowing 19.8. They were 9th most TD passes against. Now they have no JJ Watt, so the pressure to on the QB isn't going to be as great. No Bradley Roby, like I mentioned. I'm projecting Trevor Lawrence to get 275, 2 TDs, and a rushing TD that'll put up points. I'm actually high on the whole Jags offense this week versus the Houston Texans. So fire up these two guys if you got them.
What a nice, easy start for Mr. Lawrence to have this week.
Couldn't ask for a better one, man. Couldn't ask for a better one.
So, all right, well, that's one of our starts. Let's get into one of our sits. And this one is going to be you're doing Kenny Golladay, and I'm talking about Jets Michael Carter. Sorry, Jets fans in advance. I'll let you start with Kenny G. Why are we sitting Kenny G this week?
Yeah, this week, I think the sweet, smooth jazz of Kenny G is going to move on to week 2. This week, he's facing a Denver DB squad that includes Ronald Darby, Kyle Fuller, and rookie Patrick Surtain. He might see some volume that'll make him relevant and possible garbage time points, but I just don't see it happening this week. My projections for Kenny G, 5 receptions, 55 yards, and I got him at half a touchdown, so there's a possibility that he gets it, but also a good possibility that he doesn't. I'm over Kenny G. I'm comfortable starting Jacoby Myers, Corey Davis, Michael Pittman. One of the main things is whether or not Daniel Jones is going to be able to keep the offense on the field enough in this game to produce a wide receiver, even a low-end wide receiver 1 in this case. I just think that it's going to be a lot of dump down, a lot of checking off, not so much deep balls to Kenny G in this contest. So sit Kenny G.
I like it. Yeah, I'm sitting Michael Carter. He's expected to have a big role in this Jets backfield. It's just not going to be week 1. The reports are that we could be seeing a 3-headed backfield between Carter, Coleman, and Ty Johnson, which kind of scares me. The uncertainty of how many touches this guy's going to get. I mean, you can't fully start him and expect that he's going to be this number 1 running back right now with what we're hearing out of camp. And even with Carolina's run defense not being that great, last season they gave up 1,936 total rushing yards and 17 TDs for an average of 121 per game and almost just a little over a TD per game. I mean, I just can't trust the backfield right now, and I think they're going to be losing this game, and I have a funny feeling they're going to need to throw the ball a lot more. So I'm sitting Michael Carter and seeing what happens in a few weeks from now.
If you had to pick one of the 3 in the backfield to start this week of Tevin Coleman, Michael Carter, and Ty Johnson, which one do you feel comfortable starting out of the 3?
Neither.
If you had to pick one.
Yeah, that's tough. If I have to pick one, I'm probably going to go.
I mean, Tevin's named the starter as of right now.
Tevin's the starter, so I'm probably just going to go Tevin because he's the starter. But I mean, like I said, for all I know, they could literally do 3-3-3, 3-3-3, like 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, and then you just keep rotating. And if that's the case, like none of these guys are relevant right now or going to help you unless maybe one scores a touchdown and you'll get the 6 points plus maybe 50 yards, 40 yards, something there, maybe. But It's not enough for me to start and be confident right now.
Yeah, fair enough. Big Bursch says Tevin this week, his pick. Big Bursch is going to be joining us on the DFS spotlight here halfway through the show. So make sure you're tuned in for that. And his pick for the week is Tevin Coleman. So
yeah. So for those of you that are still listening and joining, I mean, Chris and I are going to be going through some of our start sits. We're compiling your questions. Put them in the chat. Definitely get them because we are going to dedicate some time to answer all your questions, or as many as we can, a little bit later in the show. So just keep putting them in there, and we'll get to them as we go. But let's move on to our next one. We're going to start Michael Pittman, and you're going to start Robert Tonyan.
Yes, sir.
So I'll start with this one. On the Michael Pittman side, with no T.Y. Hilton in the game now because of the injury to his neck and him being out for a while, Michael Pittman is now the unquestioned X-receiver for this team. He will match up versus Trey Flowers on the Seahawks, who last year he couldn't even hold his starting job, so I'm not really too worried about that. And Seattle had the 29th best defense versus the wide receiver last year. So I got Pittman as a sneaky wide receiver 3 with some wide receiver 2 upside, and I think he'll have a good day.
Yeah, especially with Wentz coming back and actually starting, which is amazing. Quentin Nelson's also going to be starting. I like that start. I like Michael Pittman this week for sure. But on my end, I'm starting tight end for the Green Bay Packers, Robert Tonyan. I mean, when you break it down, they only brought in a guy in Randall Cobb to appease their quarterback, to get him to come in for day one. He was number 1 in fantasy points per target last season with 2.99. His ceiling is his red zone usage. I'm expecting the Green Bay Packers, New Orleans Saints game to be an absolute shootout. The Saints were in the bottom half of the league last season for points versus the tight end. I got Robert Tonyan going off for 5 receptions, 50 yards, and a TD, good for 13.5.5 PPR points. He's the main guy, he's the second main guy in the red zone for the Green Bay Packers. I think he had 11 targets, 10 catches, and 7 of them went for touchdowns. He's going to be an absolute machine in the end zone again, especially week 1 versus the Saints, which is tough to say as a Saints fan, but I got to give credit where credit's due, man.
Don't worry. I'll remind you every time he scores a touchdown. Okay?
Yeah, I know you will. I know you will.
All right, let's get on to another one of our sits. This one, I like this sit because being a Cowboy fan, I hate the Steelers. So I am going to be sitting Big Ben, and you are going to be sitting Daniel Jones, who I mean, I've heard you on record call him La Ferrari. So I love to hear why you're sitting him. We've already talked a little bit about this game. We think it's going to be a little bit these 2 games here in general. So we know one game might be a shootout, the other one might be a snoozer. But Chris, why are you sitting Jones?
Pretty much for the same reasons I'm sitting Kenny Golladay. It's the defensive backfield of the Denver Broncos, the amount of pressure that they're going to bring towards the offense of the New York Giants. I don't see him producing that much. Saquon just got cleared. I don't think they're going to have him on so much of a pitch count. He's going to be dumping the ball off. He's going to be handing it off to Saquon. I got Daniel Jones going for 230 and a touchdown versus a defense that is supposed to compete for one of the best in the league. It's not a good first game for Daniel Jones. He didn't have Kadarius Toney for much of camp. He didn't have Kenny Golladay for much of camp. So they're still going to be working on those chemistry issues that they will struggle through at the first part of the season. That's pretty much why I'm not firing up the La Ferrari this week. Going forward, if you got a 2 QB super flex situation and you're stuck between Daniel Jones and maybe say Derek Carr or Daniel Jones and Tyrod Taylor in this case, I might lean towards Daniel Jones in that situation. But one QB league, I mean, I'd rather start Ben Roethlisberger over Daniel Jones at this point.
So he's more of a Corolla this week? Is that what we're going
this
with?
week? No, see, Corollas are dependable. They last long. I got him maybe as a Fiero.
All right.
There you go. So he's a Fiero this week, not so much of a Ferrari. But, I mean, he does have the rushing upside. I just don't think he's going to be relevant as a passer for fantasy users or fantasy players this week.
All right. I'm talking about Mr. Big Ben Roethlisberger, and I was looking up some stats as to why I would sit him, and I was just liking seeing what I saw there. So the Steelers are obviously playing the Bills, and it's looking like it's going to be a high-scoring affair. I believe the over/under is set at 48.5. Last season, the Bills only allowed 11 passing touchdowns at Orchard Park. That's not a very big number, and Big Ben is not getting any younger and hasn't been throwing very well, especially when he's on the field and another team's home. So his record at home at the away side is not very good. Big Ben has failed to score more than 13.5 fantasy points in 5 career games versus the Bills, which also includes only 4 total passing touchdowns in those 5 games. I don't have any faith in Big Ben this season. I think they're going to rely heavily on Najee Harris, and I think that's what they're going to try to do to keep the Bills off the field if they can. And I just don't see much coming out of him. So if you could stay away from him, definitely do this week, and hopefully you have another quarterback you can start.
Even though he's on the special diet, you're still sitting him. I mean, he's coming out with the BR7 diet to compete with the TB12 diet.
Yeah, I don't know if that's enough to get me to sway the other way. It's okay. I mean, the diet might be better than Tom Brady's, but I just don't think.
The one thing he says he's not eating is the avocado ice cream. That's the one thing he's not doing. Let's get on to the next one, James.
Yeah, we got. I am going to be starting Robbie Anderson, and you're going to be starting Jacoby Myers.
Yes, sir.
Why don't you?
I'll start with this one, buddy. I'm starting Jacoby Myers versus Miami with the news that Cam was getting cut for Mac Jones. I heavily invested in the New England offense. Nelson Aguilar was a limited and DMP throughout the week. He was one of Mac Jones's main targets through the preseason. It shows that they have the chemistry. He was one of the better wide receivers for the Patriots through the preseason. One of the guys I couldn't be more than happy to draft was this guy, Jacoby Myers, New England Patriots wide receiver 1. Mac Jones, again, a guy that can be patient in the pocket, a guy that can wait for the plays to develop. He's not exactly the most athletic guy, but he's a guy that can use his feet to buy some time. Projection for me this week for Jacoby Myers out of the New England Patriots is 80 yards and a TD, 5 catches. So it'll put him in that low end wide receiver 1, mid wide receiver 1. He did have the highest catch rate over the last end of the Patriots season last year with 72.5%. So I'm expecting big things out of Jacoby Myers this week. His connection with Mac Jones alone goes to show me that Jacoby Myers is a must start. He's a great flex play going into week 1. But James, you're talking about Robbie Anderson. Now he's matched up with Sam Darnold again.
Yep.
You're expecting big things out of him. Revenge game for him as well versus the Jets. What do you got on Robbie?
Yeah. Sorry, Jets fans that are on the U Stadium app there. I know there's a lot of you, but I mean, like I said, the 2 words you said, revenge game, and you got 2 players in the revenge game category here. And I think he's just going to have a really good day. And I think they're going to try to make sure that both Robbie Anderson gets a TD from Sam just for the purpose so they could say that we got one against our old team. He had solid first season with Carolina. He had 95 receptions, 1,096 yards, and 3 TDs. So definitely did well in his first season there. And now he gets Sam Darnold back like we talked about, and the connection between them. I know they played 25 games together. He had 88 receptions with him, 1,353 yards, and 11 touchdowns between them. And that was on and off through injuries and whatnot what he had. The Jets defense isn't that great either. They gave up 4,409 passing yards last season and 34 touchdowns to the team, and which is an average of 259 yards and 2 TDs through the air. So lots of opportunity for these guys. And like I said, I have a funny feeling that there's a game script out there that says we need to get Robbie Anderson a touchdown today, and I think they're going to do it.
Out of the 2 here that we see, Robbie Anderson and Jacoby Myers, who were you starting? One over the other. If you had to pick one of these guys, which one you rolling with?
I think I'd roll Robbie Anderson just because the defense he's facing is a little bit worse than Jacoby Myers facing the Dolphins defense.
Yeah, I think I go Jacoby with this one.
Well, that's why we're on the opposite side there. See, it works out.
That's it. We'll give you both options. That's what we do, right?
All right. Okay, let's go to our next sit. So our next sit is going to be Jalen Waddle and Joe Burrow. And so we're getting to some big names, guys. We got some names here that you're going to sit. You're probably going to be thinking of us like, whoa, what? But yeah, so I'll start with Jalen Waddle. Waddle's going to be a big-time wide receiver in the NFL. There's no doubt about it, just not week one. A lot of rookies, you're going to see this where this week one, it gives them some time to get in there, especially wide receivers take a little bit more longer to develop than other position players do. The Pats have allowed an average of fewer than 150 receiving yards per game to opposing wide receivers last season, so it doesn't look good. They're also getting a lot of key players back on the defense that weren't there last year because they took it off for COVID. They also allowed the 8th fewest total fantasy points last season as well. So the defense is pretty good. They're stout. They're obviously going to be looking for the wide receivers that they can. And it's just going to be kind of hard for Waddle to get under his to get there and do the numbers that you're hoping he puts up for where you probably drafted him a little bit higher because he was the rookie one. So I think he's going to have a little bit of a letdown. And I would, if you have another wide receiver you can start about aside from him, I definitely would.
Yeah, I mean, we like to really dive into why we sit these guys. A guy like Joe Burrow, who a lot of people are high on. I just don't see it happening this week. Not against the Minnesota Vikings defense, who added Nick Vigil, added Patrick Peterson, added Rashad Breeland to take away from that passing game. For the grain of salt that it is, I didn't like the reports coming out of camp that Burrow was yet to be comfortable on his leg. He's coming off an ACL and MCL injury. I mean, the Vikings are getting Danielle Hunter back, so the pressure is definitely going to be there. The one plus that did come out of the preseason for the Bengals is that they didn't allow one sack. Now, whether or not that's going to carry over into the regular season, it's still yet to be seen. But and he only played one drive where he only completed one pass. I would have liked to see him a bit more in the preseason, but I get it. They're protecting their franchise guy. His week one projections for me, 260 yards. I got him at 1.5 passing TDs. I'm looking at Joe Mixon to be a bigger part of the Cincinnati Bengals offense, at least in week one. They're gonna run him all over the field. He might get a lot of dump downs, but other than that, I just don't see Joe Burrow being fantasy relevant against the Vikings this week. Guys, I'm comfortable starting over Joe Burrow in week one. I've talked about him once already. Trevor Lawrence versus the Houston Texans. Give me Jameis Winston against the Green Bay Packers. And give me the guy that he's going against, Kirk Cousins against the Cincinnati Bengals.
I like Kirk Cousins. I think he's gonna have a good week this week too.
Yeah. He's sneaky, man. He's a sneaky guy. I think he finished in the top 15 quarterbacks last season.
He did.
Where you're gonna draft him at his ADP, he's gonna outperform a lot of that. So give me Cousins this week over Joe Burrow, definitely.
All right, let's get to our next one. So we're starting. I'm starting James Robinson, and you're starting Deonte Johnson.
Yes, sir.
You want to start with Mr. Deonte Johnson?
Yeah, I'll fire it off. I'm projecting big things out of Deonte this week. Have it being a bit of a shootout. I know you're sitting Ben Roethlisberger, but if there's one wide receiver that I'm picking out of this group this week per se, and probably most weeks, it's Deonte Johnson. He's heavily targeted. He only had last year when they played Buffalo, he had a 48% snap share, but they benched him because of his drops. He's been working on those drops all season. I got him projected 7 catches, 85 yards, and a TD. That's good for 18 points and 0.5 PPR. He's quick off the line. He's explosive with the cuts. He runs every route like an absolute dog. He reminds me of Antonio Brown. He's Ben's clear favorite target. They constantly connect for catches 10 or more yards down the field. The over-under for that game is 48.5. There was only 2 games where he saw limited snap share, and one of them, I think, was injury, and one of them was the Buffalo game. I'm expecting a lot of big things out of Deonte, not only in this game, but moving forward. So fire up your Deonte Johnson if you got him, and he won't let you down this week.
Yeah, I think you drafted him in like 7 or
I
8
own a
leagues
lot
that
of
we're
them,
in.
man,
Yeah,
but
so
that's not the reason why I'm saying start them. But
no, I get it.
I'm
I'm just saying,
expecting
yeah.
big things for Deonte this week, man.
Oh. On the flip side, I'm talking about James Robinson. And now that the Etienne news came out that Etienne won't be there for the whole season, that Canton pulled his stock all the way up and he went to becoming the RB1 in Jacksonville again. Last season, he was RB7 in PPR formats while averaging 17.9 points per game. He was one of only 7 players to average 100 plus total yards per game last season. And he's playing a defense that is the quality of an SEC team. So I don't think he'll have to worry too much on that. The Texans ranked 31st in points allowed to running backs last year, 32.3 of them. They ranked 32nd in rush yards and in total yards per game, 145.7 rush yards and 190.9 points per yards per game. So I look for Robinson to possibly be a top 10 running back this week because of the fact that they're going to probably be leading. They're going to lean on him, and he's going to get a lot of points and a lot of yardage for you.
Yeah, fire up J-Rob this weekend and as well. Same with Deonte this weekend, every week almost.
That's right. All right, we got a couple more here. Let's get through them a little bit quicker here. I am sitting the Browns DST, and you are sitting the Buffalo Bills running back core.
Yeah.
So we got some big ones here. In regards to the Browns, I mean, they're playing the Chiefs. That's
there's your argument.
When you're playing Patrick Mahomes, you definitely don't want to start any defense against him. Last season, any DST that faced the Chiefs, they averaged 3.1 fantasy points per game, which is not very good for a DST. So definitely stay away from them. I do like the Browns as a DST though. So if you got them, just stash them on your bench. Pick up a different DST that you can start this week, and then you'll get them back in afterwards because the Browns will help you win games down the stretch, just not this week.
Yeah, I agreed with that, James, buddy. As for the Buffalo run game, we still don't know what to expect from a team that was in the bottom part of the league in rushing attempts last year versus a team that was in the upper half of fantasy points against the running backs. Pittsburgh allowed only an average of 14.2 fantasy points per game to the RB position. And the fact that the Buffalo Bills running game is so spread out, that spells disaster for me between Zack Moss, Devin Singletary, Matt Breida, and the QB himself, Josh Allen. I always hate a situation for fantasy purposes where it is a hot hand approach. Out of the 3 RBs and half-point situations, I think Devin Singletary will be the better of the bunch. I got Zack Moss, 40 yards, half TD, Devin Singletary, 40 yards rushing, 30 yards receiving, and half a TD for the week. Sit him.
Yeah, I don't like those numbers.
Not great, buddy. Not great for fantasy purposes.
Good, so, all right, let's go to our. This is our last start of the week, I believe. And so the last one we have here is I am starting Myles Gaskin, and you are starting tight end Tyler Higbee. Why don't you get started with this one?
Look, if you were a guy that waited to draft till near the end of your draft and was able to draft Higbee, week 1 is going to be a great option for you guys versus a team in the Chicago Bears that was 5th last year versus the tight end, allowing 13 TDs and 962 yards. In 2019, a year where Gerald Everett was battling injuries, Higbee carried more of a workload. He finished as tight end 10 that year. Everett now is with Seattle, where he's given up the 62 targets that he had last season. Look for Tyler Higbee to soak a lot of that up. It's a pass happy offense that averaged about 600 pass attempts over the past 3 years. So the opportunity for the Rams, tight end 1 is here. My projection for the week, 4 receptions, 45 yards, and a touchdown.
Nice. I think the Rams are going to be fun to watch this year. But on the flip side, I'm talking Myles Gaskin. And I mean, this isn't going to be an easy matchup for Gaskin. We've already talked about the fact that the Patriots do have a pretty good defense. Last season, their rushing D allowed 2,103 total yards and 17 total TDs, which is an average of 131 yards per game and just over a touchdown per game. But last year in week 15, the Dolphins ran all over that Pats D without Gaskin there. Salvin Ahmed and Matt Breida combined for 35 carries, 208 yards, and a touchdown. Is that exactly going to happen today? Probably not. But I mean, I do think that he's going to have a strong outing. I see Gaskin as an RB2 this week, as I think he's the only lead back there, and he's going to get a lot of work in the game.
Yeah, I was watching the Dolphin Dives episode show yesterday, and they were talking about the running game situation. They see Gaskin being the first and second down guy, kind of the goal line guy, and then Ahmed coming in being the receiving down guy. So there might be an opportunity for Ahmed to be a little bit relevant in this game, but I'm definitely comfortable starting Miles.
Yes, sir. All right, our last one, and these are probably our two biggest names on the list today. This is our sit, and we are talking to sit Allen Robinson of the Chicago Bears and Josh Jacobs of the Raiders. I'll start this one. So I'm talking Allen Robinson. So let me break this down here. Obviously, the way you drafted Allen Robinson, he's probably your number one wide receiver, maybe number two. It's hard to sit a number one guy. If you have the availability to do it, this would be a week that I'm okay with you sitting him because of the matchup that he's in. He is facing the Rams defense, and the Rams defense is one of the top defenses. Last year in 2020, they were the best defense versus wide receivers. He is also going to be paired off sometimes against Jalen Ramsey. Now, I know normally Jalen Ramsey doesn't shadow any players, but if they start doing that and he has to shadow A-Rob, that is not good for A-Rob. On top of that, he's got Andy Dalton who's throwing to him this week. And yes, Andy Dalton is better than who he had last year, but it's still Andy Dalton. Me being a Cowboy fan, I don't like Andy Dalton. I didn't like him last year. So all these things all together just tell me that I don't think he's going to put up that number one wide receiver number that you're hoping for. So if you can and you have someone else you can slot in there, I would slot someone else in there for Allen Robinson.
Yeah, we just saw it pop up actually. Zack Moss is inactive for the Bills today. So if you have Zack Moss, make sure he is out of your lineup. So that might bump up Devin Singletary a bit in this game, but I still don't see a Buffalo running back being any kind of relevant versus the Steelers today. My sit, Josh Jacobs, he was questionable with the toe injury. He was a limited participant on Friday. So the injury is a concern. A toe injury for a running back is never a good thing. Last year, he had a below average catch rate for the running back position, which is why they brought in a receiving back like Kenyon Drake. Their offensive line somehow got worse. They got rid of Rodney Hudson, Trent Brown, Gabe Jackson, 64 red zone rushes. He was first last season in that situation, but I do see a significant regression coming for Jacobs. Drake was also heavily involved in the red zone rushing last season, and I could see Kenyon siphoning TDs from Jacobs. My projection is 60 yards, half a TD. Guys that I'm comfortable starting over Josh Jacobs this week is Raheem Mozart, Mike Davis, and Daryl Henderson.
All right. I guess I'm going to have to start going and sit Jacobs in the two leagues I have him in. Thanks, Chris. Okay, well, those are our start sits of the week. We like to try and take some players that obviously you wouldn't be thinking about. So as you saw, there wasn't really big name guys because we're, at the end of the day, you start your starters, you start your studs. So you should already know that. So these are the guys that you might be questioning. Some people might be thinking, should I, shouldn't I? And that's why we try to pull the information we can for you.
Yeah, just a quick hit here. Trey Sermon is also inactive for today's game. Trey Lance is active. So if you got Trey Sermon in your starting lineup, you're going to want to take him out.
All right. Mostert, that moves him up a little bit then.
Yeah,
all right. So we're going to get into our next segment. Chris, you want to lead us in on our...
Yeah, we're going to talk some DFS for you guys. We got a nice little spot here set up with Stefan. He's going to come in, give us his insight for the day on setting a DFS lineup. Let's get him in here. Birch Bombs, where you at, brother? Let's get you in here. Talk some DFS, buddy.
How's it going,
guys? Hey. You got a Saints jersey on? Look at that. Yeah, I like it. Represent the black and gold.
It's only because, before I start off, Kamara is the guy I'm starting across the board, regardless of price. Because this man is going to eat all day long.
I like it.
So you're not a Saints fan then, right? Is that clarifying?
I'm not a Saints fan. I am a Kamara fan.
I'm okay with that. Right. That's fine.
I'm more of like I've been following Brady for the last 17 years. So wherever he goes, I kind of got to adapt to what that is. So
I got you. I got a soft spot for Brady. I got a soft spot for Brady, man.
I got rid of the sheet, as you can tell. There's no more sheet.
I like the brick wall.
Yes.
I like it.
All right, brother. It's all yours. Go ahead. Let us know
what you got.
So I did some research and punched numbers. Like I said, Kamara is the one guy I want regardless of the price. He's sitting there at 8,600. It's steep, but it's someone that you're going to start. He's going to have 20 carries a game. I think he's going to have at least 5-6 receptions. I think total he goes over 150 and at least 2 touchdowns because there's no one else to get the ball to. He's got no Latavius Murray. That receiving core is non-existent. Marquez Callaway is going to be all over Jair Alexander. So I'm staying away from everyone except for Alvin Kamara in that game. A lot of the ones I have also for good values. Nick Chubb, I believe, is going to have a field day against that poor run defense in the Chiefs. I also like James Robinson. I heard you guys talking about that. He's value for a $6,400 back. There's no one else outside receivers that are going to touch that ball. James Robinson's going to have what you expect to have, especially for that price set. I personally think he's a little bit low on that. I think he should be a $7,200 back, but for $6,400 on DraftKings, you can't really go wrong with that. Another guy that I've been looking for that's a must play, it's the Ravens quarterback, Lamar Jackson. These are going to be like the daily for tomorrow and for tonight and then early games as well. But Lamar Jackson has nobody. He's got no one except for Hollywood Brown and Sammy Watkins. He's got a former shell of Le'Veon Bell. He's going to play. Tyson Williams is also another guy I'm very, very heavy on because he's so dirt cheap. You can get 2 numbers, potentially RB1 with that offense being as explosive as it is. But, man, it's going to be a nice day to be a Ravens fan if you're running the ball with Lamar or Tyson. Another one I do like in the quarterback is the Sam Darnold one. For $5,000, Sam Darnold's going against the Jets. It's, like you said, a revenge game. He's been waiting for this game. He's ready to prove. And he's got Robbie Anderson. That's one of the stacks I'm going with also as well as Robbie Anderson and the Sam Darnold stack. That chemistry for me just really is still there, even on the Jets when they were bad. They were the bright side back in the day when they were on the Jets.
Yep, no doubt.
Another guy these are guys I really want you guys to have as a steal, nothing that you're going to pay too much for. These are guys that you have low price values that you can take, the Kamaras, the Chubbs, if you want Christian McCaffreys, because these are guys that you can build around and not go over your budget. It's Damien Brown. That guy to me is going to be one of the steals for $3,000. It's basically highway robbery.
My guy.
But Terry McLaurin on that offense. You got Humphreys, but I personally believe that if Brown can carve out a role for 3 weeks, once they input Curtis Samuel back in, that this guy will be a daily streamer and his price will only go up after this point. A few of the receivers also, if you're playing the Houston Texans, start Marvin Jones and start DJ Chark. I'm a little weary on LaVisca. His price is $5,000 compared to $58 for Chark. I feel like you can spend that $800 extra just to get Chark. Or if you want another value, if you want to stack your team with a bunch of high-end guys, Marvin Jones is sitting there at $3,600. He's receiver 1. He was in Detroit. Outside Kenny Galladay, he was the guy. Stafford needed a guy. He was him. I think Trevor Lawrence being a rookie, Marvin Jones being that veteran, that's another stack you can go with because Lawrence is only $6,200, and for less than $10,000, you can get a stack of Marvin Jones and Trevor Lawrence. Also, with a little bit of James Robinson, it's not really that bad of a pick. You could go a little bit cheaper, but I think from where they're placed, that's probably the best kind of value you're looking for. One of the really ones I'm getting kind of hate for is Amon St. Brown off the Lions. I personally think he's the second best receiver on that team outside of Tyrell Williams. Again, I'm looking at values for $3,000. If he gets me anything over 10 points on DraftKings, I'm happy for that value price. You can't really go wrong, but you always can go higher in options like a Jerry Jeudy. Devonta Smith is also another one I'm looking at for $4,500. I think that him and Jalen Hurts could have somewhat of a decent day to, I guess, bring you that value that you're paying for him. Another guy that I think the heaviest on, and that price tag still kind of baffles me, is Kyle Pitts against a weak Eagles linebacking core. I just think the Eagles defense, all in all, is not as what they were a few years ago. I think outside of Calvin Ridley being the higher price tag that he is, I'm straying away from that. But I am dipping myself in some Kyle Pitts at $4,400. The guy is going to have, I think, one of the best week 1 starts out of any tight end, especially for the price. I see Conklin from the Vikings, that's $2,900. They don't have Irv Smith. I don't know how much I'll give him the ball, but for the value in tight ends, Higbee, Kyle Pitts, and Gerald Everett for the price that they're looking at. You really can't go wrong. Tight end is the cheaper of the options.
Yeah.
But you can dip down on tight end to dip up on, say, a running back, receiver, something that you want to more of an assertive role, because tight ends can really give you anywhere points. Doesn't matter who it is, really. Also, the defense, Jacksonville defense. I know it's kind of scary. I just don't trust that Houston offense enough.
Yeah,
Everyone's going to have what he's going to have. But for 2,700, it's like that tight end thing. You can get Kyle Pitts, Jacksonville defense, for a combined, $6,000 total, and still have a chunk of money left to get Alvin Kamara. If you want a Christian McCaffrey, Nick Chubb, it's not that bad, but you want to make sure you pay more for the higher guys that will get you points. If you're paying $9,000 for Christian McCaffrey, I'm hoping for a 25 to 30 point game.
Yep.
If I'm paying $4,000 for Kyle Pitts, I'll be happy with 12 to 15. Yep. So it's really the price. I do also have my perfect lineup for the day.
Yeah, let's hear it.
It's going to start off with the Jalen Hurts as a quarterback. I think for 6,400, he's going to be pretty good against that weak Atlanta defense. Chase Edmonds is another one. I think just for this week, because for 4,600 RB1 numbers, if he gets 5-6 catches, he gets 12, 13, 14 rushes, I think he can have a solid game. Raheem Mozart. If there's a week to choose Raheem Mozart before the injury, I'm not hoping Trey Sermon is out. It's a price to steal. If they told me Trey Sermon's out yesterday, I think his price goes up to at least 7. But for 5,800 on the first Sunday of the week, you really can't go wrong for an RB2. Also, the one that I want to talk about the most is going to be James Robinson. I think he's going to eat. I think for that price, I have him in my perfect lineup. I'm willing to pay the 6,400. I just think he's going to have a monster day. I'm not ragging on the Texans, but I just think they're dumping their entire team off, and they're just saying, all right, this is what we're going to do this year. We're going to tank, and we're just going to let anyone they want run all over us. They have no secondary, no D-line. Start James Robinson daily. Start him in your fantasy lineups. Just get yourself some James Robinson.
Yeah, fire him up. I like it.
So far I've got Jalen Hurts, Chase Edmonds, James Robinson. Another one is Justin Jefferson. I heard you guys talk about that Cincinnati defense a little bit. I don't trust it. I think that this game will be a shootout in a way. Joe Burrow's going to have, I think, 2 touchdowns, but I think Kirk Cousins is going to have a not Kirk Cousins-esque game where he throws 3 touchdowns. I do believe Justin Jefferson gets on the receiving end of one of those touchdowns and at least 80 to 100 yards. DJ Moore is another one. I mean, that Panthers offense supplied 3 top 20 receivers, and that was Curtis Samuel, Robbie Anderson, DJ Moore. I personally think DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson take an uptake on that as well, as more of like the mainstream guys you want to start. I do like a Terrace Marshall, but I got to see a few weeks on the line if he can be there and if his price is still right. So outside of Justin Jefferson, DJ Moore, Devonta Smith is another one, only because I'm stacking him with Jalen Hurts. I feel like there's no other guy that's going to touch the ball as much as he will. I do like Jalen Reagor. I do like Dallas Goedert, Zach Ertz. I just feel like that Jalen Hurts has that chemistry with Devonta Smith. They're both Bama boys, so you kind of have like a little favoritism there.
Yeah.
Kyle Pitts as well. I'm having him all across just because of the price. Brandon Ayuk, I know he's coming off the injury. I know he said he's healthy. I do trust him to cook the Lions defense for a few good yards and at least a touchdown. So, and the defense to top it all off, 49ers defense. They're back to get out. The Lions, listen, I used to be a Lions fan. It's rough. And when you have high hopes sometimes and you just get disappointed, you just let it go from now on. So
I like that. Used to be a Lions fan. It's hard, eh?
You know?
Yeah, I gotcha.
This is why he goes for any team now. See, he just goes for players. He's a Lions fan. You can't go for the team. I get it. Yeah.
It's a good jersey.
It's a bad breakup you don't want to like get over, but then again, you keep going back and they just keep disappointing you.
You leave your sweater at the house. You leave some things there so you can go back. I get it, man.
Exactly.
I get it. Wasn't always easy being a Saints fan, buddy.
I don't think it's still easy now. I mean, the Bucs had a few numbers.
We won't go there. That was great. I mean, one of the games I'm heavily invested in for my DFS lineup today is the Jacksonville-Houston game. I like the strategy of having Lawrence, Marvin Jones, James Robinson being heavily involved, and then grabbing the top end wide receiver from the other side. So if it's a shootout, you know that they're going to be passing it to pretty much the only guy in that offense in Brandon Cooks, right? That's the only maybe relevant guy in the Houston Texans offense, at least this week, is going to be Brandon Cooks. So setting up a stack like that and then grabbing some of these value guys that you talk about, like a Raheem Mozart at his price, is only going to pay off for you. Thanks, Bursch. Let the people know where they can find you, brother. What's your handle?
I've got big _ Bearish at Twitter. I'm on USAM. I'm the Bearish. If you guys want, I've got the timeout or the sports desk every Tuesday, 6 o'clock. Me, Splash, and Jack. If you want any advice, daily tips, I'll be on this show as much as I can Sundays, giving you guys the DFS talk. Right. You can find me Twitter, Instagram, the Bearish or Bearish Bombs. I'm always replying. I'm always looking for tips, advice. I love talking fantasy, so hit me up. You never know.
Sounds good. We'll see you next week.
Guys. See you guys.
Bursch.
Good luck.
All right, so it's time. It's time to answer your questions, everybody. We got a bunch of questions coming in. We got a list already, so let's start hitting them up, and we'll start answering and kicking them out and trying to get you guys all the answers you need.
Yeah, let's see what we got. What's question 1, James? You got one for us, buddy?
I believe we do. We'll get our producer to pop it on the screen there once he gets a chance.
Let's get one maybe without the picture.
So we got Fella at U Stadium asks Sammy Watkins or Gage from the Atlanta Falcons.
For me, if it's a 0.5 PPR format or any kind of PPR, I'm leaning towards Watkins, as I think he's going to be the safe throw for Lamar Jackson in this game. If it's a standard league, I'm probably going to lean Russell Gage, as I think he might see more yards. But at the end of the day, if I had to pick one over the other, I'm going to go Sammy Watkins.
All right. I think our producer's got the pictures ready, so let's pop the next question up. All right. This is from Bearded Chef, and he asked, should I trade Gibson for Jefferson in a dynasty half PPR? My team currently lacks a number 1 wide receiver at RB, and I've got Najee, Taylor, and Sanders.
What's your take on that, James?
Looking at what he has, I mean, he's got 3 really good running backs there in Najee, Taylor, and Sanders. So if you can get Jefferson for Gibson, especially in dynasty format, I mean, both players are going to be good dynasty. Sanders would be the one I would love to trade rather than Gibson if I could, but I mean, you're not going to get a Jefferson value for a Sanders. So if you're lacking in the wide receiver category, like he says he is, I would definitely go for it because you still have the backup RBs to cover for Gibson.
Yeah, he's still young at running back, so grabbing Jefferson, especially in a dynasty, he should have the longer career over Gibson. I would definitely make that move with the depth that he's got.
Sounds good. What's the next one?
Let's see here. That's the same one. Bearded Chef. Thank you, Bearded Chef, for the question. Again, if you guys are digging the stream, like it, subscribe to the channel, head over to your app store, Google Play, download the U Stadium app. You'll have exclusive access to us there. This one here is from Beekeeper EB. Sadly, I have 2 rookie QBs, Trevor Lawrence and Mac Jones. Not a sad situation. I'm liking the 2. Who should I start? For me, this week at least, it's a tough one. I got him kind of finishing close, but I think Trevor Lawrence is going to ultimately have the better day over Mac Jones.
I like that. I think Trevor Lawrence as well.
Thanks for the question, Beekeeper EB.
Ooh, another trade. This is at Nose.
Yep.
He asks, he is receiving Antonio Gibson and a 2022 second, and he's sending away Ezekiel Elliott and Laviska Shenault.
This is a tricky one. I don't believe the 2022 class is going to be as good as this class was. If I'm accumulating picks for 2022, they're first rounders. I think I would rather have Elliott and Shenault moving forward into the year. I get Elliott had a bad game against Tampa Bay, but the Tampa Bay Buccaneers don't let the RBs produce against them. So I'm kind of saying no for this trade. trade. It is a fair trade, but I'm leaning no towards this one.
Yeah, I'm on the same fence as you are, and I'm going to say something that I know is going to bite me for a little bit later, but I've gone out after last Thursday's game, and I went out and asked every Zeke owner if Zeke was available because I wanted to pick him up. I think he's going to have a great second part of the season as it goes. From my understanding, I think it is that he's got the 10th best running back schedule going forward, and I think he's going to get a lot more points. He did a lot of good things in that game, even though that the Cowboys did not rush him enough, and I'm hoping that scares some GMs away to trade him to me a lot cheaper, but I'm already getting no's across the board. So keep Zeke. He'll be fine.
Agreed. Thanks,
What's our
Nose.
next one? Oh, okay. This is from Brandon Havar. Flex option, full PPR, Tyson Williams, Corey Davis, or Sutton. As you can see here, I believe Corey Davis is winning his poll there at 69%. I'm especially full PPR. I think I got to go Corey Davis. I think he's going to get peppered. I think he's going to get a lot of balls thrown at him this game, especially if they're losing in garbage time. I think he's going to get a lot more. So I like Corey Davis. What about you, Chris?
It's an interesting one. Sutton's going to see a lot of targets. He's going to have a accurate passer and Teddy Bridgewater throwing him the ball. Tyson Williams, the reports coming out is that he's going to be heavily involved in the running game. I don't know how much passes he'll see, but if I'm comfortable starting one out of the three, give me Corey Davis for all the reasons that James just gave us.
Sounds good. Next one. We had that one. Hold on here.
Okay. YFN Joshua 2, Galladay or Thielen at the flex. I'm starting Thielen over Galladay this week, especially in the flex option. I just don't see Galladay having a decent day against the Denver Broncos, and I like the Minnesota offense against the Bengals. So fire up Thielen.
Yep, I agree. And we already said to sit Galladay, so it just falls right into our play there.
Yeah, exactly.
Next.
Chris Caps, Julio Jones, or Daryl Henderson, PPR flex. James, which one you got over the other? This is a tough situation here.
Wow, that's a good one. I think I would lean towards Julio, and especially for the PPR side of things, I think Julio is going to have a good day today. They're going to want to start off strong with him, and I could see a touchdown. Probably 6 or 7 catches for 80, 90 yards, easy. And Daryl Henderson, I'm wondering, are we going to see more of Sony than we think we are? What kind of plan are they going to do? Are they going to throw the ball more to the other 3 wide receivers? I mean, I don't know how they're going to use him if he's going to be that same Cam Akers role as he was. So I'm going to lean Julio.
All right, let's get the next one fired up. Sam Stamp 42, Rams or 49ers defense. 49ers versus the Detroit Lions, and the Rams are playing. Do you know what they're playing?
The Chicago Bears.
Chicago Bears.
Both of these guys both teams are favored 7.5 on point spread this week. They're the biggest point spreads, and both these teams are the majority teams that are being picked to win survivor pools. So
give me the 49ers DST versus versus the Lions. I like it. I mean, the Lions do have a good O-line. I just don't think they got an offense to put up big numbers. Chicago could be a sneaky offense this week, but give me the Niners defense. I think they'll finish close either way, but give me the
I was going to say, I don't think you could go wrong with either one. They're both going to be good to go, and you're going to get you some points, and poor Andy Dalton, poor Jared Goff. It doesn't matter. So,
all right.
What else we got?
Riley W98 PPR League. Who should I put in my flex? Corey Davis, DJ Moore, OBJ, or DeAndre Swift. All great options. PPR formats. James, is there one you like more over the other?
So I'm liking DJ Moore. I'm hearing that they were talking about putting him in the slot, and I know that the slot receiver for Darnold is usually the spot that he likes to go to a lot, and I have a feeling that if that's the case, he's going to get a lot of targets, especially with the PPR format. So I'm going to lean DJ Moore out of these guys here.
Good option, buddy.
Okay. Mark GSKI asks, I believe that's Deonte Johnson or Brendan Ayuk. And we haven't talked Ayuk at all. I know, Chris, you have Deonte Johnson as a start. What about Ayuk?
I have them. I'm starting them both this week. They're both going to produce. I'm leaning Ayuk this week over Deonte Johnson just based on the matchup. Ayuk could face a little bit of negative game script issues if the 49ers do go up early, but I think if they do go up a lot early, it's going to be Ayuk as part of the reason. I have them finishing around the same for projections. You can't go wrong with either or, but if you're making me choose one, give me Brandon Ayuk this week.
All right. What else do we got there?
All right. You want to fire off some of these player props? You want to answer some more questions?
Do we got some more questions? We got some more coming in.
Albert Marroquin, Tyson Williams, or Damien Harris full PPR. I'm starting Damien Harris.
Me too.
I just don't know what I'm going to see out of Tyson Williams this week. The fact that Cam Newton's gone, Sony Michel's gone. I'm expecting a full workload for Damien Harris for the New England Patriots for the season, actually. So Damien Harris there. You agree?
Yeah, I like Damien Harris as well, especially once they changed over to Mac Jones. I was a full believer in Harris for the season.
Yeah. So all year football asks, so I have Ayuk starting already. Should I start Jacoby Myers or Deebo Samuel and start two super flex? Is that two super flex wide or two San Francisco wide receivers?
Two San Francisco. Ooh.
I think I go Jacoby Myers over Deebo Samuel. He's going to have a higher target share in the New England Patriots offense. The fact that Nelson Aguilar, already mentioned, was limited throughout the week. I'm expecting big things out of Jacoby Myers. Ayuk is a great start. Jacoby Myers is the guy that I would pick out of the two. Do you agree with that, James?
Yeah, I don't like to put two of the same wide receivers on the same team in my starting lineups as best as I can. There's only one ball at the end of the day, so if it happens that they only throw one touchdown and one of them gets it, great. But what about the others? So I'd rather take the upside in starting Myers and one of the San Fran wide receivers, and I would start Ayuk over Deebo.
Yep, I agree with that. Chris Zorzi. Carr or Taylor? Tyrod Taylor or Derek Carr, buddy?
Those are awful options, Chris. Sorry to say at the beginning. But I would start Carr. I mean, the options that Carr has are way better than the options Taylor has. And I know they're facing the Baltimore Ravens defense, but they faced them before. And I think Derek Carr can put up better numbers than we have no idea what's going to happen in Houston.
Yeah, for me, I mean, they're both going to see garbage time opportunity. The one thing that might put Taylor over the edge over Carr is his rushing abilities. But I think at the end of the day, Carr is going to end up having the better game as he has more weapons at his disposal over what Tyrod Taylor has.
Yep. Do I start Pittman or Swift? Ooh.
Good question. Good question. I'll let you handle this one, James.
Sure. I knew that was coming. I like Pittman as a start this week. I already talked about him. I think he's going to be really good. I have Swift. I actually was talking to Chris about this morning. What do we do with Swift? Should I start him or not? I know Chris is very high on Swift and thinks that Swift's going to have a big day today. I'm just a little worried about the injury, about what they're going to do there. And they're also facing, the San Fran D. I'm going to lean to Pittman. I think Pittman will get you more points end of the day. I mean, if it's PPR, I'm also going Pittman.
All right, start Pittman. James, you're asking questions for us now. Austin Eckler or Brandon Ayuk in flex spot, 0.5 PPR. James, I think I'm starting Austin Eckler. I know there was some injury issues at the beginning of the week, but if I'm picking two, I mean, if you have the ability to put Eckler in your flex spot, you seem pretty rich. So I'm going to go Eckler over Ayuk, even though I think Ayuk's going to have a big game. Give me Austin Eckler there.
Yeah, I like Austin Eckler too. We'll see what they do in
Is this versus me? Because if it's versus me, I might change my answer. I like it.
All right, Greg asks,
Mel Gordon or Josh Jacobs?
Ooh.
Give me Mel Gordon here. I like Mel Gordon, especially week one for the Denver Broncos. I'm low on Josh Jacobs, not only through the year, but week 1 especially. I think the Denver Broncos are gonna have more of a positive game script over the Las Vegas Raiders, therefore ultimately utilizing their run game more. Devonta Williams will cut into some of the production, but not as much as Drake is going to cut into it for Josh Jacobs. So give me Melvin Gordon there.
Yeah, I like Gordon too.
Crab's teacher. Hey, my boy Crab's teacher. I was talking to him the other day. I'm starting Gaskin and the New England defense on the same lineup. Do you think that will hurt me? I mean, ultimately, it's going to, anytime Gaskin scores, it's going to be a negative for the New England defense. But I think the New England defense is that good where they have the possibility to put up a scoring touchdown. They have the ability to get at the quarterback. It might hurt minimally, but I think if you're maximizing the points for the week, it's not a bad strategy.
Yeah, no, I'm good with it. I mean, usually the defenses, I'm not too keen on looking if my other players are facing them. I think on Thursday I had Tampa versus CeeDee Lamb and whatnot. So it is what it is. The defense is there. They'll get you the points, and Gaskin will hopefully get you more, like I said in our starts. So you'll be fine.
Yep. Phil Costello, Higgins or Chenault, half PPR. What do you got, James?
I like Higgins. I think Higgins is going to be the number 1 wide receiver for the Cincinnati Bengals this year. I'm not hearing.
Ooh.
Yeah, I'm hearing that Chase still trying to figure out how to see balls when he's being thrown at him. And I mean, I know Tyler Boyd's there, and I know Boyd was doing really well with him in the slot, but I just think Higgins is going to take that jump again, and he's going to be the guy that they're going to throw the ball to.
Fair enough. Big Bursch, Shark or Juju? Give me Shark this week over Juju.
Yeah.
Playing against Buffalo, they got a stout pass defense. The fact that the Pittsburgh Steelers O-line has been downgraded. I'm looking for the pressure of the Buffalo Bills to affect the game plan for the Pittsburgh Steelers, whereas the Jacksonville Jaguars are playing the Houston Texans. So they'll be close. They'll finish close. But if I'm looking for the edge, give me DJ Shark over Juju Smith-Schuster.
Yeah, I like it.
Christian Colazzo, what y'all think about Devonta Smith this week? What you got, James?
I'm not really huge on Philly at all, but I mean, they are facing Atlanta, which is a very good defense. So
it's just like Trevor Lawrence. If there's one game that you want your rookie to play in and do good, it's the situation where they're going to play one of these bad teams where they're going to have the opportunity to ball out. So go ahead, you can finish this week. I mean,
yeah, I'm
up.
firing up most of my Philly guys this week. I mean, I think they're going to do well against that Atlanta defense. But because I haven't seen much of what they can do aside from the preseason, it's really hard these rookies to see where they're going to be. Are they going to be as good as we think they are, or is it, do they need to take a step back? So if you got other options, I would suggest maybe starting the other options over him. I don't think he'll be a wide receiver 1 this week. I probably got him in the wide receiver 3, maybe low end wide receiver 2, if all goes well for them.
Tebow, welcome, Tim. 15
Yes.
legend. OBJ or Marquez Callaway, half PPR. Actually, listening to Bursch talk about the DFS, his DFS starts and sits. He made up a good point about Jair Alexander shadowing Marquez Callaway, who's going to be the number 1 wide receiver for the Saints until some of these other guys get back. So given that, I'm comfortable starting OBJ in his comeback game over Marquez Callaway this year because he is ultimately the better athlete. He's the better wide receiver at the end of the day. Give me OBJ here in this situation. You agree?
Yeah, I like it. You see that catch he made in preseason, the one-hander down the sideline? I think
Frank Greco, wings or beer cheese sausage? Oh,
wow.
Greco, big choice. I mean, I've had the beer cheese sausage and they're pretty good, but man, there's wings in football. They just go one and one, hand in hand. You can't separate the two. Give me wings.
I'm going to go wings first half, beer, cheese, sausage in second half.
Wings for the ones, beer and cheese sausage for the fours. DJ Moore or Barkley at the flex? That's Barkley for me.
Yeah, going Barkley too. I mean, I want to see what they can do, and they're going to need him because their wide receivers a little banged up. I think they're going to use him.
Yep. Is that it for questions? I think so. Do you want to get into any of the props, or you want to wrap this up?
You want to run through the props quick? Think we can get through it? We got a couple of them.
Yeah, sure, if you want.
We can run through a couple of them just to get some of the guys what we have. Maybe we'll do 2 from each, Chris, instead of doing 4. Let me just pull them up here. All right, so beforehand we had set up some prop bets that we saw, and we're going to be playing a game called the run pass option. This is basically where if we like the prop, we're going to run with it, and if we don't like the prop, we're going to pass with it, and we're going to tell you why.
Let's do them all, James. I think we can run through these pretty quick.
All right, sounds good. So the first one here, Justin Herbert will have over 250 passing yards in his week 1 contest against the Washington football team. I said run. Washington's D is stellar, but the Chargers O-line may be the best that they've ever had, and Herbert's going to get the ball and be able to throw it a lot.
Yeah, I'm going to run as well. The Washington football team defense is pretty stellar, but I got Herbert finishing with 290 yards. Number 2, Baker Mayfield will throw for less than 260 passing yards against the Kansas City Chiefs in his week 1 matchup. I'm going to run. They are going to roll in, set to run the ball down the Chiefs' throats to slow the pace of the game. He'll get close to 260. I just don't think he'll hit it.
I'm going to say pass. I think the Chiefs will take a lead early, forcing Baker to throw the ball more and abandon the run. All right, number 3, Tua will throw for more than 1.5 TDs this week against the Pats. I'm going to pass. I think they will rush between. They'll have a rush game between Gaskin and Tua himself for rushing TDs faster than he'll get the 2 touchdown throwing. Just because I think they're going to try and slow the game down a little bit and incorporate that.
Yeah, pass. I got Tua for 1 TD, 240 passing yards. Moving on, our last QB, Josh Allen. Will he throw more than 2.5 TDs against the Steelers week 1? I'm going to run. I'm expecting a shootout between the 2 teams. Excited for the matchup. Let's see if Josh Allen can carry on his QB1 finish from last season.
I got run as well. He should have a good game today. I'm looking for 3 TDs in the air, maybe 1 on the ground. Big day for Allen. Let's move into our running backs. Najee Harris, rookie from the Pittsburgh Steelers. Will he rush for over 60 yards in his first game in the NFL? This is an easy one. I'm going to say run. Buffalo D is pretty good, but they're going to lean on Najee for the whole game. He'll get the 60 yards.
Yeah, 60 yards, I think, is a pretty easy one. I'm going to run. Let's get on to the next one. James Robinson. Will he have over 100 rushing yards against the Houston Texans in week 1? I'm going to run with this. He'll have just over 100 yards. I'm expecting the Jags to have control early, so they will slow the game down by utilizing James Robinson.
Yeah, I'm going to run as well. We've said it all show long that we're starting him and we like what he's going to do, and we think he's going to have a big day. Number 3 here, Saquon Barkley. Will Saquon Barkley break the 80-yard mark in week 1 matchup against the Broncos? And Saquon Barkley will not break the 80-yard mark. Sorry, the way that was worded there. I'm going to run. I don't think he's going to break the 80-yard mark. I think that they're going to ease him in a little bit to this game. I've been saying all offseason long that's what's going to happen. Yeah, we know.
RB11. I'm going to hold you to that. I'm going to hold you to that.
I think the O-line is not good enough, and the Giants suck. So, yeah.
I'm going to pass. He was full systems go. He was clear. They're not talking about a snap count or anything like that. The only thing that might stop him is the fact that his quarterback likes to turn over the ball. So our last running back here, Javonte Williams, will he have more rushing yards than Mel Gordon in their first week matchup against the New York Giants? Rushing yards, I'm going to pass. Receiving yards, on the other hand, I'm going to run. It's going to be an interesting combo.
I'm going to run. Houston D is so bad. They rank at the bottom for every category in the run game. I think he's going to have a great time. Be fine.
Wide receivers?
Yes. Justin Jefferson will exceed 80 yards receiving against the Bengals in his week 1 matchup. I'm going to pass. I'm not sure exactly how healthy he is from that injury he had in preseason. I mean, they haven't really talked much about it. They've been keeping him out of the storylines. And I think it'll be a little bit less than what we're expecting.
I'm going to run with this one. Great game for him to get his feet under him after a great first year. I got him at 95 yards and a TD. Our second wide receiver here, we're talking about Elijah Moore. Will he have less than 50 yards receiving in week 1 against the Panthers? This is a tricky one with the news of Crowder not coming off the COVID IR. He didn't get really that much preseason work, but I'm going to run that he doesn't hit the 50-yard mark.
Yeah, I'm going to run as well. I just don't know what to expect out of this Jets team yet. Sorry, Jets fans again, but hopefully next week we'll have better news for you.
Apologize too much.
I feel bad. They're all like, we got a lot of Jets fans here, and I don't think that they're going to have a good week 1. Number 3, DK Metcalf will have more than 1 TD in his week 1 game against the Colts. I'm going to pass. I think he's going to score 1, but I think Russ is going to spread the ball around, and it'll just be 1.
I'm going to run. DK Metcalf will have 2 TDs. Ooh. Our fourth and final wide receiver before we get into the tight ends, Marquez Callaway will have over 100 yards receiving against the Green Bay Packers. No Traquan, no Mike T. Troutman shaky. Only other receiving option is Lil Jordan Pumphrey and Alvin Kamara. If it turns into a shootout, I could see it, but I'm going to pass.
He's the Saints guy. He would know better than I would. But, I mean, he is the only guy to catch the ball. So I'm going to actually run. I think he's going to catch the 100 yards on the day. I don't know if he'll get a touchdown, though. All right, let's run into our tight ends. TJ Hawkinson will lead all Detroit Lions in receiving yards in week 1. I'm going to pass. I don't like anything coming out of Detroit that they have to offer. I know he's the only wide receiver or the best wide receiver they have, but I think that he'll be upstaged by someone we're not thinking of.
I'm going to run. I'm not too sure what to expect out of this game, but the opportunity for garbage time and Jared Goff behind a good O-line is my main reasoning here. Moving on, Dallas Goedert for the Philadelphia Eagles. Will he have over 60 yards receiving in his week 1 matchup against the Atlanta Falcons? I'm going to pass. I got him projected at about 40 yards. My expectations is for the offense week 1 versus the Falcons is high, but Ertz is still there, and he'll be a definite part of the game plan. So I'm passing on that one.
I'm going to run. Hurts will lean on his tight ends like he normally does in Philly, and I could see Goddard having a score as well.
All right.
Number 3, Tyler Higbee will not score a TD in week 1 against the Bears. I know you talked very highly of Tyler Higbee. You say he's a definite start. I just don't know if he's going to score a TD. I think he'll get catches and yards. I think the TDs are going to go to Woods or Kupp.
So you're running with that one. I'm going to pass. The Bears were one of the most scored upon teams versus the tight ends last season. Give me Higbee this week. To cap it off, number 4, Darren Waller. Will he have more receiving yards than Mark Andrews in their week 1 matchup against each other? I am running with this. Darren Waller is the wide receiver 1 option for the Las Vegas Raiders, and he's going to be heavily involved in the passing game. So give me Darren Waller over Mark Andrews.
I'm running as well. You can't bet against the Walrus. So that was very easy. Well, anyways, that is our show for this week, guys. Week one. We just want to wish you guys the best of luck out there. Hopefully all of our help here is going to help you guys throughout the season. Like we said, we're going to be here every Sunday giving you guys this information that we can. We're going to try and help you guys win championships. That's our goal. So definitely tune in next week. Same plan. Saturday we'll put up some posts. You guys can post your questions in there.
Get those questions in.
Yep. And then Sunday come on the live and we'll answer as many as we can as well. So we're happy that you guys were with us today, and we can't wait to see what happens next week. But for today, let's all go enjoy some football and Frank, some beer, some wings and beer cheese. If you want to deliver to my house, I'm okay with that as well. So.
May all your players come out injury-less.
Yes.
Let's go. Week 1's here, everybody. Happy football. Let's get rolling.
Take care, guys. Have a good one.
Let's go.